ठीक है, तो आप सेशन खोलिए, फिर I'll start.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to Chai with Sid Khullar. Some of us have had the sample of this tea session and we were like all completely blown away by the experience. Thank you, Sid. Thank you for doing this again. So this is going to be a meditation session on mindfulness, and Sid will take us through a complete process. And Sid, what else would you like everybody to know before we start? Like any questions that anybody has before we start?
Let's do the questions after 4:10 so that we have the whole thing. But then how about you sharing where you are, where you're coming from in this context? Have you ever tried this before? What your thoughts are and all of that?
Yeah. So so I will share what I have had experience, and probably many of us. We've been doing this boot camp with Sid, which is a 4-week meditation boot camp, and where he's taken us through various levels of meditation. And this particular session, I think, was one of the sessions which everybody just loved it. And it's something that we do probably not every day, but yeah, we've all made tea, but have we ever been so mindful of making tea? And then after we did that session, I personally saw a dramatic shift. And it wasn't that I was literally sitting and meditating, but I was just being mindful in everything that I did. And I shared this on the group that a day before we did the session, in about an hour, I had done 1.2 kilometers swim. And the day I did mindfulness meditation, that day I did 2 kilometers in same 1 hour. So the productivity was like, phenomenal. I was much more peaceful. So that's my personal experience with mindfulness. And ever since, it's been like we did mindfulness with various activities. Sid had given us. So that's what I did. And then there's Archana ji and Carol and many of us who've been part of that camp, if they would like to share what's their experience been. Or if any of you have any questions, that also we can take up.
Our experiences with mindfulness, what you've done, what you think it is, what you'd like it to be, and all of that.
I can share something.
Here, Richa.
Yeah, hi. Are you able to hear me clearly, or do I switch?
Yes.
You're able to hear me clearly? Wonderful. Thank you. Mindfulness, Thich Nhat Hanh, that's my connection with him. They left this earth some time back. Tea and mindfulness is again a friend, been a friend a while. That doesn't mean to say I would not love the experience that's coming forth today. I love tea. You can see so I brought my own tea to the whole exercise because it said chai. So I said, okay, I must be armed with chai. So I came with that. So for me, I think my first brush with mindfulness was tea, because you can call me a teaholic. Tea gets me to peace. So, and that's something that began the whole experience of mindfulness. Do I claim to say that I'm mindful every hour of every day? Not really. But I do remind myself every other time when I do slip into these so-called zones where I'm not being in the moment. Being in the moment helps. And mindfulness certainly helps. So that's my 2 cents on it. And 2 cents on tea as well. So that's where it is.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to? Any questions as to?
For me, mindfulness would be to be aware of the chatter that's going on, like the noise that's always there, and being present to it, and what I keep saying myself, like it could be anything. So yeah, that's what I'm practicing. Like the negative things that we say so easily about ourselves. condemning yourself. Oh, you didn't do well today. It was not that great. You could do better. Or what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Things like that. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Got it.
Okay, I guess let's just start. That'd be good.
I would also like to know if anybody has is first time gonna be experiencing a mindfulness or coming across a meditation which is on mindfulness for the first time, and what brought them here. I'm just intrigued.
Yeah, I am coming as a session on mindfulness for the first time. Yes, we do have see videos because I'm interested in mindfulness sessions, because somehow sometimes when we are in pain and we try to center in things, we try to be mindful basically, and how we are hurting and what not to do and what to do. So the thing is, we see videos on YouTube, we see different people, learned people doing, but I've not been into a mindfulness as such a session. I'd been into yoga and meditation session, but from a mindfulness point of view, this is the first time.
Lovely. Good to know. Thank you.
Sushma says she's new to this session, but she always tries to learn through videos.
Got it, Sushma. Thank you. Yes, Sid, over to you.
So I'm going to, shall I just turn on because now the waiting room is off. So shall I just turn it on and we stop? Anybody knows lock meeting se kya hota hai? You're mute, Palak.
We can just do the enable meeting room. I think that's good.
Yeah, I've done that. Okay, guys, first of all, could we please have some cameras if you don't mind? Always love to see your faces. Thank you. Okay, good evening and welcome to this session on mindfulness. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here today. Mindfulness is, whenever there's a word called awareness. Be aware. When we talk about sending healing to somebody, when pranic healing, Reiki, kuch bhi aap kahein, you have the concept of being aware. We ask the clients to please be aware of what they're feeling, so that we can ask them about what happened and how they felt and how the healing was received and all of those things. Mindfulness is somewhat similar on those things, because if you think about it, just use your chat windows now. And if you could just tell me, how many bits of sensory information do you think we receive every second? Please use the chat box and write in there, how many bits of sensory information from the eyes and from the smell and all of that comes into, do we receive every second? Yeah, too many innumerable, no, come on, give me a number. Okay, it's around the vicinity. You all are somewhat in the right vicinity. The right number is around 11 billion. So yeah, so you were somewhere there. So anyway, in the same universe anyway. So 11 billion. And now, okay, here's another question now. Out of 11 billion, how many do we actually process? Come on, our operators are standing by for you to post in chat. 50. No, 8 se zyada tha. So, about 50 bits out of 11 billion are actually end up getting processed. So can you imagine the amount of information we actually leave out there all the time? We're just not aware of it. It hasn't even entered our systems, in the sense that our awareness, our consciousness is just there out there. So when we talk about mindfulness, we're talking about trying to be as aware as possible of all the different facets of our being. we talk about all the different sights that come in, all the different sounds that come in, all the different feelings that we have, all the different emotions and all of those things. It is about being aware of that to the nth degree, jahan tak hum kar sakte hain, as much as we can immerse ourselves. Now, if you've studied, if you've learned a little bit about trance, or if you meditate, or if you've done your hypnotherapy or things like that, you will know that there are various ways of entering trance. We can enter trance state, a meditative state through immersion in visual media, or in visuals. Basically, we can do the same thing through audio, and we can do the same thing through kinesthetics, or with mixtures of all of this. And this is where mindfulness comes in, because mindfulness really packs the whole thing into one. But this was just about a basic introduction. So what we're going to do now is, how can we actually demonstrate how to be mindful, how to literally immerse ourselves in any given situation, of which we have many in our lives every single day. So we're going to try to demonstrate that, illustrate the process through making a cup of tea. And this came about quite almost spontaneously when we closed one camp. No, I think we closed one camp with this session, Palak. We closed one of our previous camps with this session, and it turned out very, very interesting. The experiences that we had, the things that we smelt and experienced, it was very, very interesting. So if you're all ready, I'd really love it if you could put on some more cameras and get comfortable, and let's start making a mindful cup of chai. Guys, ready? Would you like to just sit back, get yourself nice and comfortable, please? And maybe wiggle about a bit, settle in there, and find some back support. Find a little bit of neck support would be nice, but not enough that you sleep. And if you do, please mute so the snores don't reach us. In fact, that reminds me of one pranic healing session. I have a pranic healing education buddy called Anushka, and the last time I never forget this. We were sitting in the middle of one of this pranic healing session, the classes, and there was this meditation going on. And for some reason, the world loves to enhance meditation. It just doesn't work for me. Sid, wake up! You're snoring. I slept off in the middle of that class. Okay, have you all settled in, please? Hey, Venkateshwari.
I can't hear you clearly. If you can maybe...
Oh, you can't hear me clearly?
Yeah, thank you.
Is that any better?
Yes, this is loud. Yeah.
Any better?
There's a disturbance now.
Okay.
There is a disturbance, Sid.
It has worsened a little bit.
Yeah. Any better? Strange.
When you're very close to the mic and a little away, like where you are right now, it's okay. But jara bhi aapka movement ho raha hai to hil jana. And then there's a reverberation that comes in.
Earlier was better, I think. Earlier it was better.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It's better if you close it to the mic, no? Then it is.
Is that okay?
No, sir. Now it's okay.
Do not move from there now.
Right here. Okay. So about this much. Is that okay? No.
Yeah. That's very bad. Do not move from there now.
All right. Okay, but I'm serious. You're serious about not moving at all. इतना फर्क पड़ जाता है.
जी सर, वो थोड़ा reverberation आपका breath और पीछे से कुछ pick up कर रहा है. Maybe a very sensitive mic. It's possible.
It is, but I've been using this for a while now. It's still okay? Still bad? So what? It's okay. All right.
Okay,
so guys,
okay now.
Please settle back in, sit back, and sit back. Get some nice support. Get some back support, a little bit of neck support. Close your eyes, and you can You can put your hands on your lap if you like, or you can put them anywhere else, wherever is comfortable for you. And anytime in between, if you feel like adjusting, that's absolutely fine. Just go ahead and adjust. That's right. All right, brilliant. So, okay, please, I can see you've closed your eyes. So, Venkateshwari, you can go ahead as well, please. And keep closing your eyes. And start by paying attention to your breath. Just paying some attention. This is the very beginning. We are now being aware of the breath, just the fact that you're breathing, nothing else. There's nothing else you need to do. Just pay attention to the fact that you're breathing. And observe the structure of every breath, how it exists as air outside your nostrils, air that carries oxygen and energy, air that becomes breath as it enters your nostrils, moving down your windpipe, entering your lungs, expanding them, then spreading to different parts of your body, nourishing them with oxygen and energy. Just watch this happening. Every cycle, just watch, be aware of the breath, how it comes in and does all of this and spreads and keeps on going and nourishing all those parts of your body with oxygen and energy. There's no need to manipulate or control the breath. Just continue being aware of its movements. Wondering from time to time how this breath might look if it were visible to our eyes. Would it have a color? Would it have a texture? And you might have been through these meditations before, guided sessions. And if you did, I'd like you to recall now how it felt, the relaxation or the sensations you experienced, the peace that you felt, the comfort surrounding your body and mind. I want you to remember these feelings and recall them in great detail, encouraging the same feelings in your body as and where you experienced them. That's right. Bring it all back. And when you do, when you recreate those sensations from your memories of your last session, this one will become even more powerful. So go on ahead and bring to mind all the sensations and feelings from your last guided meditation session. And sometime now, take a deep, nice breath that fills your lungs. That's right. You'll find that when your stomach expands, it allows the lungs to expand even more. And when the lungs expand more, they can fill up with more air, and more air means more oxygen and energy, which is so wonderful for our bodies. Even our hearts get a little rest when we breathe properly, allowing it to beat a little slower and get some rest for itself, while still ensuring your body is well looked after. As you continue breathing in and breathing out, taking a deep breath every now and then, you might find thoughts drifting in and out. This is perfectly normal, and you can let them come and go on their own. That's right, you're doing a wonderful job. Yes, breathing is a vital exercise that we need to do properly, and you're doing a great job of it now. Just being aware of your breath when it begins entering your body. And when it begins leaving your body, maybe observing the temperature of the breath as it comes in and comparing it to the temperature of the breath as it goes out. Perfect. Finally, I want you to relax a few key parts of your body, which will help with making this session so much more powerful and effective. As you breathe, your eyelids begin to relax, and your closed eyes are so comfortable staying closed, because there's just no need to open them, and your mouth might begin to feel a little limp, and the muscles in your jaw start to go a little slack, and your shoulders lower a little as they relax, and your fingers too. Each of them let go of any stress they're holding. Let's go to your thumb and your index finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, and your little finger, each one of them on both hands. Shift your awareness there and let go of any stress that might be there. And while we're here, I want you to invite your mind and body to relax, to let go and get ready to moving towards a session where we become more and more aware of how much mindful we can be. And now I'd like you to imagine a staircase with 3 descending steps. Notice the material the staircase is made of. It could be stone, wood, metal, or any other material, but this is a very special staircase. When we use it to descend, it helps us to enter a more relaxed state. So I'm going to ask you to begin with descending, starting with step number 1. When you step onto the first step, a wave of relaxation descends upon you, starting from the top of your body to the tips of your toes. Feel that wave moving downwards, making you feel even more safe and comfortable than before. That's right. Stepping on the second step makes your levels of relaxation double. So how are you feeling now? Double that. That's right. A greater sense of comfort and calm than ever before. Now feeling nice and comfortable, safe, secure, peaceful, so very relaxed. Now I'd like to go towards the making of our tea, and you find yourself waking up from a long and restful sleep. Imagine yourself in bed, waking up, slowly opening your eyes to a morning, a wonderful morning, when the sun is about to rise, and outside the room, outdoors, the sky is a wonderful collection of gold and orange and yellow and blue, and it looks so very serene. You extend your arms up towards the ceiling and indulge in a long, luxurious stretch. It's time for a cup of tea. A cup of hot, slightly sweet, steaming tea that's sure to perk you up to be a wonderful start to a brilliant day. No one is awake in the house yet, besides you. As you walk into your kitchen and look around to begin, a comforting cup of chai. The kitchen was cleaned the previous night and is now neat and tidy with everything in its own place. That's it. You know your kitchen. You can see it now. You look around for a saucepan and find it exactly where you expected it to be. You grab the pan by the handle and place it on the gas stove. Note how you place the pan on the stovetop. Did you place it absolutely flat on the stovetop, or was it slightly tilted so one side touched the stovetop before the others? Just be aware. From this point onwards, we're going to try and observe as much detail as we can about as many aspects of this process as possible. While I will draw your attention to many points of detail, please feel free to use your own senses and visualize detail wherever available. So now that you've placed the saucepan on the stovetop, the heat must be turned on. To do that, you press the ignition button on your stove. If your stove doesn't have this button, you could go ahead and use a gas lighter or a matchbox to light your gas stove. In fact, let's all do that. Pick up a matchbox in one hand and push out the little drawer full of matches using a thumb or a finger. That's it. Using your thumb and forefinger, pick out a match from within the drawer. Shut the drawer with your other thumb and then turn on the knob, switching on the gas. That's it. Then grasping the matchbox between the thumb and the forefinger of one hand, you strike the match held in the fingers of your other hand against a strip on the sides of the box. The match head briefly sparks, splutters, and then bursts into flame, which you then place near the gas burner. The burner ignites with a small whoomp sound. You turn to fetch some water for your tea. Picking up a mug, you hold it under the drinking water tap. Have you noticed a difference in the sound made when pouring hot water into a cup and when pouring cold water into a cup? The sound made by pouring hot water tends to be muffled due to the presence of steam, whereas cold water being poured into a cup has a tinkling high-pitched sound. Can you hear it now? I can hear it now. As water pours from the tap into the cup, you're aware of two things. One, the gas is on and the saucepan is heating up as the cup is filling with water. And the sound made by the falling water is increasing in pitch as the cup fills up. The higher the pitch of the falling water, the closer is the water level to the top of the cup. You take the mostly full cup of water and pour it into the hot saucepan. It sizzles a little and then settles down. The cup was mostly full before because you left space for the milk. That'll come later. It's interesting to watch a pot of water come to the boil. There are usually a certain number of fixed points, hot spots at the bottom of the pan or pot where bubbles form and then make their way to the surface. I've seen 3 in my town. When 2-3 spots are visible and you can see a steady stream of bubbles coming to the surface, you know it's time to put in the chai patti or the tea leaves. Think of the type of tea you drink, the packet it comes in, and the container where the tea is stored for everyday use. Now turn about and pick up the container of tea and open it. There should be a spoon inside. If there isn't, go ahead and pick up one from your usual drawer. That's it. I usually use 1 spoon of tea leaves per cup of tea plus 1 for the pot. Please add your usual amount of tea leaves to the boiling pot. Correct. Now, the moment you add the leaves to the boiling water, the water seems to suddenly boil and bubble much more than it was a few seconds ago. You realize this happens every morning and is similar to what happens when we add salt to boiling water. The tea leaves begin dancing and twirling around inside the boiling water. You see it around the bubbles. Some are normal and others have begun releasing their color and flavor into the water, causing trails and swirls of brown to form in the boiling water until finally the entire pot of water becomes a pot of brown aromatic tea. That's right. You turn towards your fridge and fetch the milk inside. Visualize the container in which you store your milk. Is it still in the packet? Is it in a milk jug? Is there some leftover milk stored in a glass in the fridge? You pour the milk into the boiling and bubbling liquid, which then immediately stops boiling and bubbling and becomes almost nearly still. And you realize that's because of the temperature being lower due to the chilled milk. The tea in the pot is now a swirling mass with areas of milky white, milky brown, and other shades. It quickly mixes up into just the right color you prefer as the pot comes back to the boil. That's it. You can see your tea boiling. Now, as the tea begins to boil again, you look around for the sugar. Finding it, you open it and see there's a spoon inside. You pick up the spoon and put it back into the sugar, feeling its rough, granular texture and the sound it makes. And you pull out a spoonful, a heaped spoonful. You gently shake off some sugar from the spoon, flattening it a little bit, and then add it to the pot. Finally, it's time for the fresh ginger, which makes such a difference to an early morning cup of tea. You open the fridge and see the little piece of ginger you use each morning if it's still there. It's there, a small piece of ginger, fresh but slightly dried around the edges. One side is lined from being grated and some dried ginger fibers stick out of one side. You pick it up and look around for the grater. Finding it, you hold the ginger in the dominant hand and the grater in the other. For example, I'm right-handed and I would hold the ginger in my right hand and the grater in my left. Please hold both in a manner that feels comfortable for you and natural. You begin grating ginger into the pot on the fire. As you grate the ginger, the paste begins gathering on the underside but doesn't fall inside. It doesn't fall into the tea. When you grate it enough, you run a finger on the underside of the grater, moving it upwards, and you can hear and see the ginger paste and juice plop into the tea. Little specks of ginger mingling with the specks of white cream that came with the milk. Now finally, all the ingredients are in place and all that's left is for the tea to boil, which happens in a couple of minutes. That's right. You allow the tea to boil almost to the top of the saucepan, the whole lot bubbling upwards in a mass of chai-colored bubbles, accompanied by a hissing sound that gets louder as it reaches closer to the top. Switching off the gas, you place a strainer on top of your cup and carefully pour the tea over it. Into the cup. You do so carefully as you want all the tea to land in the cup and not dribble over the sides of the saucepan to wind up on the kitchen platform. All set, you pick up your hot steaming mug of tea and head for the usual spot where you spend a few minutes each day with yourself and your chai. It could be a comfortable armchair in your living room or a large recliner, a pile of cushions in the balcony or a comfy spot in your garden surrounded by plants in refreshing green color or a chair next to a window, anywhere you are comfortable. Holding the hot mug in both your hands, you savor the warmth, bringing the cup to your lips, feeling the curling steam rising from the tea, tickling your upper lip and nostrils. That feels so very welcome. You savor your first sip of hot, sweet, comforting tea and delight in the first sensation of the flavor and warmth spreading around your mouth. Spend a few minutes enjoying your cup of tea. Drink your chai, appreciating the solitude, the quality time you're spending with yourself. It'll be for a couple of seconds while you spend time with chai. You realize that the preparation and drinking of the chai was an act of self-care, and one that maybe you'd like to repeat as many times as possible. Not only the chai, but other acts of self-care, keeping in mind that self-care is required. It is not selfish, it is needed for you to take care of your family and yourself. And now we'll just begin to return back to our Saturday. If you aren't done with your chai, that's all right. You can continue drinking it when you're back. I'm going to count backwards from 3 to 1. Maybe you'd like to just put down that cup of chai. You might still be holding it and bring your hands back together into your lap. That's right. And just go ahead and begin to feel all that you felt, all the different dimensions of your chai making experience, all the textures, all the feelings, all the sounds and all of that. Feel that again, knowing that you can repeat your powers of observation anywhere else, anytime else, whenever you choose. And 2, you'll do this again as many times as you can, knowing that there are so many benefits to mindfulness. To reduce your anxiety, reduce blood pressure, reduce blood sugar, reduce cholesterol, and a lot of other benefits. And 1, whenever you're ready, and not right now, in a moment, you can come back to the session, open your eyes, give us a big smile and say hello. Hi, Venkateshwari. So Anindita said, I was talking about the sound of the sound quality, and she said earlier was better. But every time I look at that, I think is a commentary on the current session, because she's attended the previous one and she's saying earlier it was better.
No, I meant, I mean, the discussion when you remove that cap on your mic. So I think it was, yeah, better.
I know.
Back to the better one.
Every time I read it, I know what you mean. But every time I read it, I also, get this thing. Earlier was better. So if you're back, please drink a little bit of water. If you are an access bars person, please drink some electrolytes and like some sugar and all as well. Yeah, they're more sophisticated. Simple pranic healers just go with water. Palak. And once you're done, please share what your experience was, any feedback that you have. We're all in a state of learning, and anything I can do to improve would be very welcome.
Beautiful experience.
Go ahead, Vasundhara.
I said I dozed off, because my head went back, and then I woke up, like I could feel your voice.
मैंने कहा था next support इतना नहीं चाहिए. But cool. But you woke up with the voice.
Yeah. My head went back, and that's when I came back to you.
Okay. If you woke up because around the same time where we asked you to wake up, so that means you're not really sleeping.
No. Before that, when we were talking, I lost somewhere after the 3 bubbles, and then I came back to you when you were wiping or waiting so that it does not spill.
Right. Right. So this reminds me of that thing. That could you repeat that part again? Which part? The part after stretching the hands. Hey, Sangeeta.
But amazing. I could still go back to sleep and get rejuvenated.
This is wonderful sleep. This sort of sleep, na guided se jab bahar nikalte hain, it feels so relaxed.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm feeling so light.
Awesome. Sangeeta, tell me.
Very nice experience, Sid. I'm not doing any intermittent fasting today. I'm going to get up early tomorrow and I'm going to repeat this entire process.
पता है मुझे यही सूझा था कि what am I doing? ये मैंने सुबह उठने का कर दिया with चाय, intermittent fasting, पूरा program तो गया चाय लेने.
I know. I've been really good. But tomorrow,
right.
Intermittent fasting ki aisi ki tesi, I'm going to get up and I'm going to repeat this entire experience in my kitchen because
it'll be so cool.
It was so surreal.
Please do share it on the community healers thing, your experience of that mindfulness thing, because sabka alag alag hai. And we'll all experience a different type, different dimensions and all those things. I'd love to know how you did your stuff.
No, it was really nice. It was so nice to the point where I'm telling you, I feel like I don't want to do the fasting today. I think I'm going to break it for one day just so I can experience.
Sangeeta, the good thing is it's weekends and tomorrow we have to do only 12 hours. So you can easily have tea as well as stick to your...
Wait a second. Are you serious? Only 12 hours on the weekends? So I've been doing 18 hours, 16 hours for no reason on the weekends?
Yep. Okay, that's good feedback for me. I have to explicitly say this. Sorry about that.
You should have said
something. Sorry. My bad. I was pretty sure we mentioned it. Actually, you're right. I'll fix this. Thanks so much.
Oh my God. So that's it. I'm definitely getting up tomorrow. I'm going to calculate my 12 hours and I'm going to repeat this whole thing tomorrow morning because it was a really nice experience to the point where I could smell the tea and, like everything. I could smell the ginger. It was different. This session was very different today. It was really nice, Sid. Mostly on weekends, my husband, he's such a darling. He'll make the tea, but kal main usko chutti dene wali. I'm going to say I just had a beautiful meditation session and a 12 hours fasting. So I'm going to make the tea tomorrow.
This might be interesting because perhaps mindfulness is your meditation of choice.
Yeah.
So let's see how it works out for you. Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sudha.
Yeah. It's a very beautiful thing. And I love chai. I could relate to day before yesterday morning, early morning. In fact, I woke up around 3 o'clock or 3:30 and I suddenly feel like making chai. So I went inside the kitchen quietly and I made a cup of chai, but added cinnamon. And when it was boiling, I just kept looking at it and smelled it. And I kept on looking for 10 to 15 minutes. I was looking at the chai, the change of color, how it is leaving the color in the water and smelling, taking the steam and all. And then I made the chai. Complete silence because the neighbors, everybody was, the entire, this thing was sleeping. Not even the birds were woken up. Around say 30 minutes, I had the cup of chai and then again I went back to sleep.
Looks like I tapped into your experience when I was writing this. It's all very similar what you did.
I made an extra cup of chai, closed the lid and went back to sleep.
Right.
And early morning, I told my daughter I had, early morning, 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I had my chai. And she was like, when the entire, everybody, neighbor, it was very nice actually. Yeah. Cool. Otherwise, every day we wake up every morning and listen to all the neighborhood size. It's like always hari bari. Now I'm going to try it actually. Awesome. After this, and this is very, very beautiful. So I thought it's going back to sleep after a cup of chai was, am I making a mistake or something? But I slept very nicely after that. And
actually,
now
sorry, please finish.
So now this, generally I enjoy making tea. I always tell my daughter, it's like, like a yajna for me. You have to make it leaving the tea leaves, slowly leaving the color from brown to, golden color. So, and this particular smell, take the particular steam, then you add the milk and all. So, and now I have to, after this is really, I can relate to this. So happy that I'm going to try it again tomorrow.
So glad you liked it.
Yeah, loved it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Venkateshwari.
I said wonderful experience. I could actually smell the aroma of the tea. I tasted the sip of the tea also. I mean, such a lovely experience. And just to, from my understanding of mindfulness, you mean that anything and everything that you do being present and you enjoy the experience. Is that what it means?
That's an extremely high level way of putting it. I would go many, many levels deeper, such as what we did today. We did exactly what you said. We were present in the moment and we enjoyed the experience. But what we also did was we were present in what part of the moment, what dimension of the moment, what slice of the moment, how many slices are there in a moment. You know what I'm saying now? So, whose point of view say? So yes, being present, but also going into as much detail as we can into preferably as many different using as many different senses as we can. And the good part about this is those of us who are different. For example, some of us might respond better to audio, better to video, better to this and that, and all of those things. Almost all of us will respond very well to this because it's a combination of everything. So we respond very well. So there might be a few people for whom mindfulness might not work, but then chances are it will for most of us.
Yeah. And I was very surprised to hear Palak saying that her, I mean, when she did 2 kilometers of swim after practicing mindfulness, strangely, I always thought that if you're mindful, you'll slow down. And I feel that I may slow down and hence I should practice mindfulness because always my life is always a hurry.
So you're right, but I think that depends on your practice of being mindful, because agar aapka mindfulness requires you to pause and be aware, pause and be present. शुरू में तो होगा ना, क्योंकि अगर आप केवल present हैं, आप खड़े हैं, present हैं, बात खत्म, fit है. But it's not that. It's immersing ourselves in different aspects of that reality. So if you have to pause to be aware of the different aspects initially, we will be slower. But if you think about it, if you're mindful while swimming, now just imagine if you're just swimming, you're inside. Now let's assuming you're doing a freestyle. So now initially, as you basically want to try to get this into the water, and then you curve this in, and then you try to maintain this going parallel to your body as you come out. Now as you immerse yourself in that reality, it turns over, pushes the water, you feel the water running through your fingers, you keep doing that over and over and over again. So sometime or the other, the mindfulness will actually take your mind off the fatigue. And you won't feel as much fatigue because you're in there. And that fatigue, ultimately, I think the lack of that fatigue or lack of the onset of that fatigue is actually going to perhaps do what Palak did. So she didn't gradually slow down as she might have otherwise. And she probably ended up doing more in the same time. That's how I would explain it.
Okay, got it.
I would just like to add also, being mindful also over a period of time tends to increase productivity because the extra noise that tends to reduce. And when you are more, I mean, for me, it's just about more focus. So when we tend to kind of cut off that extra noise, we tend to be more productive.
Cool.
That's how I look at it.
Good.
Thanks, Palak.
I'm sorry, what is that your name?
Yes, my name is Indu, and it's also but it's also a short name because I didn't want to enter this forum of all events as an formal name, but informal, whatever my informal way my friends call me,
right.
So I just entered that name.
Just wondering. Tell me, please do share.
So I felt nice, and it was a different feeling. But I just wanted to tell you that my mind wavered when you a little bit, or it due to some conversations or some experiences that happened. And I brought it back, and then I followed your voice. But my mind wavered on 2 or 3 instances, and then I came back to you. So the process of making tea, I was with it, but in between, the mind wavered and I was off it. I brought it back, but in between there were gaps. So by the end of it, it was a relaxing session, absolutely. But how do I remain with your voice? And if you are not there, how do I just remain?
So whenever we have any kind of, I'm assuming that the thoughts that came into your body represented some forms of unresolved situations.
Yes.
Okay. So what usually happens is, think of those unresolved situations as magnetic, and they're kind of sitting around us here when we're sitting in trance over here, and all it needs is one little thread. So one little thread which is somehow in common with that. Now the minds. Have you seen RoboCop, by the way? That movie, badi purani wali.
नहीं देखी है sir.
नहीं देखी. अच्छा. If you see that movie, na, you see, or any movies like that, जहाँ androids को दिखाते हैं, they see the vision of the android, and then it identifies objects here and there. उसके नीचे उसका data आने लग जाता है. Have you seen all of that? Anywhere, anytime? No? Anyway, our minds are like that. So whenever we see anything, it is constantly identifying, constantly linking, creating correlations, and so on and so forth. So as long as those unresolved things exist, either as unresolved or without a plan. So for example, I have an unresolved thing, I have a plan to resolve it, so therefore it will not enter my mind, at this time. Okay. But if I have an unresolved thing, it'll enter my mind. And if I have an unresolved thing, which it'll just keep coming time and time again. Each time you enter a state of trance, each time you do that, the unresolved ones will come back. So the easiest way to have a reasonably peaceful meditation session is to look at those things and to say you will resolve them, put a timeline on that, put some plan, some step forward, and they will not come back until you break your promise of not resolving them. And if you do, then they won't listen to you the next time. Making sense? Because the thing that's bringing them up is you, for you, by you, with you. It's just you. Okay. So if you break your promise to yourself of resolving them later on, then you will not believe you in the future. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So this was a fairly quick one. Okay, guys, anything else you'd like to share? Otherwise, we will just close this. All right, so we are good. And Anita was still saying earlier was better. Shruti, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Like for me, the mindful session, I kind of, when you came to the sugar part, wherein, so I recently stopped taking sugar in the tea. So, like I went down, I took that scoop and I was about to put it, but then I realized, no, I have to stop. Immediately that happened.
How cool.
So, that kind of made me happy that, okay, now my mind has been prepared that
बिल्कुल.
I don't need that.
And नहीं, एक mind भी नहीं, दोनों mind. Conscious भी prepare हो गया, subconscious भी prepare हो गया.
Yes.
I mean,
क्योंकि मैंने वो डाल नहीं दिया.
In a certain way, in a certain manner, loosely interpreting what we just did, आपने सपने में भी नहीं खाया चीनी.
Exactly.
Good one, Shruti. Thanks so much.
Thank
for
you.
Sharing. Anything else, guys? Left? Yeah, Archana.
That's it. It was a nice session. And now I'm going to make one good cup of chai.
और please share करिएगा कि आपने जब बना रही थी क्या लगा.
Last time we did this session in the morning, and immediately after that, as Sangeeta said, I went and made 2 cups of tea and enjoyed with chini. Intermittent fasting को छोड़ के, but today without sugar.
लेकिन वो भी Sunday था शायद. वो Sunday था, Saturday. वो भी Sunday था ना? हाँ, वो Sunday.
Some consolation.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Yeah, Saturday morning.
Weekend. So
weekend.
And with mindfulness, I think we become more specific, more we save time.
So the other thing that sorry, please, you आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
नहीं.
So the other thing I found is, have you seen these movies where the people have the ability to slow down time? And they see each thing coming dhire dhire jata hai. They can move about while everything else is going in slow motion. So we might not be able to do that, but we can actually come quite close to that with this whole mindfulness thing. Because when we are there, it gives us a moment to take pause. Because we're seeing everything that's going on. It gives us the different perspectives of everything, gives us a little bit of a breather in between, even though we don't realize it. and actually helps us take out some more time, to gives a little more time to process and more things like that. So you'll find that you find yourself to be a lot more peaceful when you start practicing more and more mindfulness, more and more points in your day. Hey, Rutvik.
Hi, Sid. Thanks for the session. This was my first session with community healers.
Oh, cool.
So I have been practicing, say, yoga, vipassana. But the thing is, I'm very inconsistent with them. Means I start them, then break it. So is there any way to continue or do it on a regular basis?
Yeah, I need to know your reasons for motivations for starting it and your motivations for stopping it. So why don't you give me a yell? You're on community healers in the group, no?
Yeah.
So just send me a message and let's have a chat. I'd love to have a chat and see where you are. Because of motivations के बिना direction निकालना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है.
Not a problem. Sure.
Hi, Richa.
Yes, Sid. I think I've complimented you before, so I'll compliment you again. You make an excellent hypnotherapist. And, so just a bit that where I think it became real for me is that I had to reach out for my giant cup of tea and drink it.
I saw you. That was the end. I saw you.
That's so. And even though you added milk in it and I don't add milk to mine, it did not break my experience. I remained with my tea. So that's hats off to you. I think this brought mindfulness to another layer to me because I practice mindfulness on real-time basis, like what I'm doing. And I'm present to that moment. The meditative element was a new one for me. So thank you so much for that. So that's what I wanted to. But that's what I wanted to add. Thank you so much.
Glad you liked it, Richa.
I said, Hindu here again.
There you are. Okay. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Just wanted to thank you because this is my second session with the All Events and Community Healer. और मेरी first session थी जो आपने नेहा वाधवा जी ने कंडक्ट किया था लास्ट
अच्छा अभी दो हाँ जी वो तो अभी भी हुआ था
हाँ बस so that was my first session forgive to heal and this was my second session and believe me I felt very nice after Neha's session as well and I hope to take a lot of inputs from your session as well and so just thank you
you're very welcome. I'm so happy.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
and Neha is also right there, so Neha you can take a bow.
Thank you, Neha.
Most welcome.
Okay, guys. So I guess we will call it a day, and you get on with your weekend. And if you have any inputs on mindfulness, anything that happens, you try it out sometime. What you felt, what you experienced, any छोटे से छोटा activity. I mean, अगर आपको याद है जब हमने matches जलाई, then you know how we doing it. We holding the matchbox, we using the thumb and pushing it out. We can take our awareness to the nth degree if only we just take the time to do that. So
nice. Who did that?
Activity. Who did what? Okay. So if you just take the time, so just take any little activity. It could be something as simple as screwing on a lid, something as simple as that. It could be as simple as like lighting a matchbox, or switching on a switch, switching off a switch, cleaning a switch, cleaning down a table, anything. छोटी सी बात हो सकती है, नमक डालना भी, anything. So just pick up any little activity, do it in as mindful a manner as possible, immersing yourself in all the different dimensions of its existence, and then share it on community healers, and let's see कि किस तरीके से mindful हो सकते हैं.
The quickest activity of a tequila shot.
You're still there. Palak has suggested कि चाय छोड़ो tequila shots के साथ करो. Right. लेकिन वो alcohol mindfulness might not really go together because by the time we do the fourth tequila shot for mindfulness का तो हो गया काम.
No, I was also thinking as we elaborate as to what happens after 4 shots, we may give up tequila shots completely.
Oh yes, completely. Chili guys, we have a lovely weekend. Thanks so much, Palak, for hosting it, and thank you so much, guys, for taking the time out.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Get down.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Palak.
Aman, sorry we couldn't let you in earlier. 4:10 the meditation had started, so we shut it down then. Okay.
Great. So we have a meeting tomorrow as well.
5 o'clock. Huh?
See you. See you all.
For some reason, some of us have started seeing more of each other than ever before. Different levels.
Today, when I saw Archana ji, I realized I haven't spoken to my mom since yesterday.